put it on. So again, thank you all for joining. So this is our July call. This call is always the second Monday of each month at 7 o'clock Eastern time. So we're going to start with Jeff Ballard, and Jeff's on. And Jeff was the first one on this call just in preparation for this, but he has a BN4 that he is the second owner on. He rode in the car when he was 11 years old, and when he was able to have his license, he was able to purchase the car, and it's been off the road since 1980. So he's starting a complete restoration of this car. So Jeff, you want to give us a little more background and what your specific questions are for tonight, and we'll get a chance to address those hopefully.
Okay, this is an early BN4 Long Bridge, BN4-LO /37742. And I have a bunch of questions. I put like 100 hours into getting brakes on the car. It's body off at this point. And I've replaced brand new master cylinder for the brakes. Had two master cylinders that are appropriate to the car that year rebuilt. Replaced all the wheel cylinders and got frustrated and put the project down for like 3 years, and then noticed that there was paint coming off the back of the dust cover. And so I have started in on the brakes again. I purchased a vacuum bleeder. I have a question: is that the non-gurling wheel cylinder that failed that I had replaced that seems to be leaking from, do they require disassembly before installation to lubricate the pistons?
Okay, let's start with that question first. So the question is, it relates to the wheel cylinder, and if it requires any special lubrication in advance of installing. Is that the crux of your question, Jeff?
Yes, it's the right front wheel cylinder, and it's the only leak that I found. I was able to tweak a couple of the lines that I noticed a little white oxidation on, and got like a quarter turn off them. And so I have not tried to bleed them yet.
Okay. Any folks out there got some recommendations for Jeff in terms of his wheel cylinders? Tom, or Bob Abbott, any recommendations for Jeff?
Well, I don't believe that they should need to be disassembled and lubricated before you begin to put fluid in them. That's not standard operating procedure. You can always run into some kind of an anomaly, but normally we don't worry about disassembling them or lubricating the rubber cups or anything like that. The brake fluid should be able to do that for you.
Thank you very much. I had a neighbor that's been helping me that insisted that I should have taken them apart and lubricated. I said, no, I want to hear what people have to say.
And what are you using for brake fluid in that, Jeff?
I'm using a .4.
Okay.
And I'm using a power bleeder. The other question I have regarding the brakes is, do I need? I watched the Zoom meeting earlier about bleeding problems, and I see that a gentle bleed with a slow pedal, rather so that you avoid putting a lot of small bubbles in. Now, with my vacuum bleeder hooked up to my air compressor at 90 to 120 pounds to develop the pressure, can I just bleed the air out with the vacuum to begin with, and then start using the pedal? Since it's been leaking, I believe it's gravity fed down to that leak at least.
I mean, I don't think we're going to do anything with ourselves.
Yeah, as a general rule, I don't know the people, or I'm not aware that I certainly haven't used a compressor to bleed the brakes before. Have you just tried the normal bleeding, starting the furthest caliper away from the reservoir?
That's correct. I started at the right hand rear bleeder, and
Yeah,
we were unaware of the front failed a wheel cylinder at the time, and so we tried multiple times and multiple places, and never got a pedal. But I went and bought at Harbor Freight a vacuum bleeder that says that I can hook up my compressor to it and it'll develop a vacuum to suck the brake fluid through the lines. It has a reservoir that you attach to the master cylinder so it doesn't run out.
yeah.
I this Bruce Olson, I would say I've heard that one of the issues sometimes with vacuum bleeders is you can actually pull some air can get into the threads of the bleeder screws with those. And if you're not going to do the pedal method, that pressure bleeding is a better way to do it. The vacuum bleeder he's talking about, I believe, works by a Venturi effect. So the high pressure compressed air goes through a Venturi and creates a vacuum that sucks air sucks the fluid out through the bleeder screw.
That is correct.
But I've heard that sometimes it doesn't work quite as well as pressure bleeding. The problem with pressure bleeding is that, if you've got those Girling, um, you know, the Girling reservoirs with the metal cap, you almost have to fashion your own special cap for it to pressurize if you want to pressurize the reservoir.
The fluid.
That's what I did on my car.
And you got that to work fine, Bruce?
Yeah. I had problems, but it wasn't with the bleeding. I had something actually in the disc. I had to take the whole the disc caliper apart. And
Right.
once I did that, then I was able to bleed him properly.
And Jeff, you still have drum brakes on this car? Front,
I
rear?
do. I do have
Okay.
drum brakes all the way around. Which leads me to the next question. On an earlier Zoom meeting, I saw a conversation about speed bleeders for the wheel cylinders 3/8 24 pitch, and they disclosed the front part number 3824L and the rear part number as SB3824HD. Where were those purchased? Where can I get those? I put those numbers into Moss and nothing came up.
And you just do a Google search on that? I don't recall that conversation. How long ago was that, Jeff? Was that last month or earlier?
No, it was probably a while ago.
Okay. I don't read. Bob, have any suggestions for Jeff regarding his bleeding issue?
Yeah, I'll put 2 cents in, Pete.
Okay, go ahead, Steve, and then we'll let Bob Abbott come after that.
Okay, with regards to the suction bleeders or what he was talking about, referring to using his compressor, I have one of those units. The comment was that they often are hard to use because they tend to suck air in around the bleeder screw. So when you loosen a bleeder screw to try to pull a fluid through, that works pretty well, except you get a constant stream of bubbles and it never seems to be completely out of bubbles. A trick to use there, take the bleeder screw completely out, put a little wheel bearing grease on the threads so it's kind of goopy, put it back in, and that'll seal that air area between the bleeder screw and the caliper body. And then you can get a good pull through there, and you'll eventually get a good bleed with no bubble.
Can I add something, Peter?
Oh, absolutely, Roger.
Yeah. If you use brake fluid, .4, I suggest that you use the new synthetic .4 bleeding from Lucas Oil, and that will not peel off your paint. You can just add it onto your .4, regular .4, but you can also take a whole can and use it. It's very. I had some dripping from one car to another, and it cost me $2,000 in a paint job on the hood. So, you know, for a few bucks, you don't get that.
So is this
And
So
when
that's
I-
not that's not silicone, Roger, right?
It's not. It's .4
Yeah, .4. Yeah, okay.
Lucas.
that must be something new, is it?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
and I
because
suggest I've got it all in all my cars.
all right, yeah, I've used the silicone, the .5, which is rated for a higher temperature, but it's
Yeah.
not necessarily compatible with your seals.
Right.
I understand, but
Okay.
I'm talking about .4. I
Sure.
don't know about .5. I use that on one car, but .4 synthetic.
But my 2 cents worth is I use an easy bleed. And you take your spare tire, you drop the pressure down to 10 psi, and you pressurize the system through the cap in the reservoir. And you start in the back right corner, and you start from the farthest distance away, and you bleed each one progressively towards the reservoir.
Yeah.
Now, one mistake that I made, although I have discs, is that I had the right-hand disc on the left-hand side and the left-hand disc on the right-hand side, and the bleed nipples were on the bottom, and that's a bugger because they're meant to be on the top. And of course, I could never bleed it. And when I flipped them around, that sorted it out right away.
Question here: where do you get the easy bleeder?
I'm pretty sure you can get it on Amazon.
Okay.
It's not very expensive. You know, it's kind of a slick little rig, and like I said, you use your spare tire to pressurize the system at 10 psi, and it comes with an assortment of caps to fit on a variety of reservoirs.
Unfortunately, I'll have to use my compressor set low because I have the original spare tire in the car.
Well, you can
You use a
57.
different spare
you
tire.
mean it's
Yeah.
so it's well you can move it to the left front position,
Right.
and lower the pressure down to 10 psi, and then the hose connections are quite long.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay.
Jeff, I'll also
if I
mention to
can-
you that, go ahead, Mike.
There's an article, I wrote an article on my blog. Just look up Michael's Austin-Healey blog. And if you scan through those articles, you will find an article on bleeding four-wheel drum brakes. And there are a number of very helpful hints on that article. And I would add that although I have a pressure bleeder custom made for Austin-Healey master cylinder tanks or reservoir tanks, I just gravity feed all my cars now.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. Bob, you were going to say?
I was just going to say that bleeding four-wheel drum brakes is always a bear. It's just that there's not enough movement from the master cylinder to push all the air out through. And the things that Michael talks about in his blog, basically what I found worked the best was crimping off the flex lines to the individual wheel cylinders and only bleed one at a time. So you're not trying to move all four cylinders at the same time. Just crimp them off with a pair of, Michael recommends a pair of vice grips. I have special crimpers to close off the brake lines. And especially with four-wheel drum brakes, there's just too much volume for the for the master cylinder to move them all completely and push all the air out. So try crimping them off, bleeding one cylinder, crimp that one off, open up another one, bleed that one, and I just use the pedal pressure bleed system. I don't have any special things. I have them all, but like Michael said, I don't bother using them because as long as I have somebody else around that can push the pedal for me, I can get it done that way.
When I had problems bleeding it, I replaced all the rubber lines with the Cobra steel brake lines. So that may be an issue to try and squeeze it off.
Yeah, you can't crimp those off.
Peter, can I ask a question?
Sure, go ahead, Steve.
With regards to the gentleman that just mentioned gravity bleeding, I'd like to expound on that just a bit more because I'm in the process of restoring a 1953 Swallow Duretti, and I am just at the point where I'm filling the fluids for the first time. Filled up the master cylinder. It's a single. It's a single master. It's a single unit reservoir. It has two bores, one for the clutch and one for the brakes.
Yeah.
And I can't get either one of them to start moving fluid. In other words, I'll open up the clutch slave cylinder bleeder, and I will pump the clutch pedal repeatedly, and I can't get it to start pumping the first time.
That's a Lockheed master cylinder, correct?
That is, yes, big
Yeah,
square.
they are a real pain to get started. They really are. You usually have to actually bench bleed them to start them working, because what they call the recharge valve, the valve that allows fluid to come from the reservoir into the bore of the cylinder, doesn't open when there's air, when it's in air. So
Okay.
it has to be totally immersed in fluid before it starts admitting fluid into the cylinder. So they really are difficult. A very slight amount of pressure in the reservoir. You can even blow very lightly using a plastic tube through the hole in the cap, and often that's enough to just get the valve working. But without something to force the fluid through that valve, they never recharge.
Thank you so much. That's very useful. I was just ready to pull my hair out about that.
Don't do that, Steve, please.
I know.
I know.
Which one?
You'll have a baby face then if you pull that hair out too. Wow. So Jeff, I guess the last thing you heard from Michael there is the what you've used for brake lines there, those cannot be crimped off.
Correct. I haven't yet tried to bleed them. I'm hoping that I found my leak of pressure, and that will take care of that. I have a bunch of other questions or whatever.
Yeah. What's your next question, Jeff?
I replaced the Bendix fuel pump that the original owner had put on with an SU electronic fuel pump, and as of today, I replaced the early Longbridge tank with a later tank, and had to bring it to the guy that did my radiator to have the original fitting and dip tube that goes into the tank braced onto the tank. And because there was crap and because of the baffles, too much labor and money, and so I bought a replacement steel tank for a later BN4 from Moss. It was only $311 shipped to my house, and I had it braced together. And while worrying about crap in the tank, whatever, I installed a pressure regulator and a glass bowl with a paper filter between the tank and the SU pump, which I had to cut the line. I cut the lines and put rubber in. From an earlier tech session, I saw that there may be an issue with the ground through the fuel line, and that you jump the steel fuel line over the rubber to keep the connection. And on the instructions on the Filter King filter regulator says that it's set for 3 pounds of pressure to the pump, and that it can be adjusted. Does anybody see a problem with that?
You should never install any sort of filter before the pump, because there's always a very slight pressure loss across the filter. So when the pump starts running and you're in very hot conditions, you can get the fuel in the line between the filter and the pump boiling because of the slightly low pressure. So a filter should always be installed after the pump.
Okay, that I can change that at this point. Where I put the filter was my exhaust system goes behind the driver, under the driver's seat rear jump seat, and that's where the pump is, where all the heat is.
Yeah.
So I was, wondering about it boiling or overheating. So I moved the filter to the right of the fuel pump to get it away from the heat. But yes, I can make that adjustment. I haven't done any of the piping of the filter. So yes, I can easily put that after the pump.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Are you also going to have a filter coming into in the engine compartment before you get into the carburetors?
No, I wasn't going to. I was going to do it behind this, under this rear jump seat, because I was thinking of rather than picking up crap from the tank, I wasn't trustful of the little screen filter in the SU pump, and I am definitely going to, before I start the car again, I'm going to flush out the lines to make sure that I haven't got any crap from that old tank to the carburetors.
I mean, I have my fuel filters in the engine compartment right before coming into the carburetors. I don't have them underneath the car because they're much easier to access if you need to change them when they're in the engine compartment than when they are underneath the car.
And you do that right in that flexible hose that goes from the steel line to the carburetor?
Yes. I have them in
Okay.
line there. That's the way I do it. Other thoughts or recommendations for Jeff regarding his filters?
There's
Well,
screens,
Mr.
Peter. Peter, there's screens in each one of those SU carburetors at the banjo fitting.
Yeah.
Yep. Another comment on the Easy Bleed. I found it on Amazon. It's made by Gunson, Gunson. And
Gunson.
Gunson. It is spelled EEZIBLEED. And it's $124 Canadian, which is about $15 US.
And what after the Gunson, you said easy what? I'm writing it down.
Easy Bleed.
EEZIBLEED.
He doesn't know what Z means.
Oh, sorry, BLEED.
$50 on Amazon US.
Got it. Great. Thank you.
I wasn't far off.
No, Peter, I put one of the Facet
Yep.
fuel pumps on, and they come with a filter that screws in before the pump.
On
Really?
the bottom.
Yep.
Well, he's talking about a
Well, something
Facet
that-
pump right now, Jeff.
Excuse me?
I've got Facet pumps on mine as well. Instead of the
Yeah.
SUs.
Yeah, the SU. I haven't run it yet. I mean, I like the look of it. I like the way the steel lines come in, and I think they seem to be a little reversed. The out was on the right, I think, and the in was on the left, or whatever, which seemed contradictory to the way the pumps coming, the fuel lines coming from the tank. But I just was a little mistrustful of the filter screen off the bottom of the pump.
Okay.
So-
Yep. You said you have another question, Jeff? Jeff, do you have another question?
Yes, I do. I hadn't moved the car in 45 years. So when I finally got it running, because of the condenser on the Mallory dual points, which I replaced, and it started right up. At that point, after buying the condenser, I decided that I'm going to a Pertronics electronic distributor, of which a friend of mine is taking the drive shaft for the tachometer and speedometer off my Mallory dual point distributor, and I'm going to put it on the Pertronics. Well, where was I going with this? With a question. So yeah, that should be fine. Oh, so when I couldn't find reverse because I haven't driven the car in 45 years, and was able to move the car by letting the clutch out easily on first, second, third, and fourth, and then realized, after shutting it off and turning it on, and because no synchro on first and reverse, that I found reverse, I believe, was to me and back. And at that point realized that my clutch slave cylinder needed bleeding, and had to take the tunnel and the plate on the firewall off to get the slave cylinder, because you really can't access it from down below, and you can't really get to it from the engine compartment. And I thought, well, I may not have to do this very often, but I don't like having, and it doesn't have carpet or interior in it, just the tunnels. So the way I got around that was I took one of the brand new rubber brake lines that I had replaced with the steel ones, which had the correct thread for the bleeder on the top from the slave cylinder, and that gave me another 10 inches. I had a brand new bleeder screw that comes to the point instead of the dished original one for the girling, and I found a brass fitting 3/8 24 regular plumbing at Ace Hardware that would connect the bleeder to the brake hose, and now that is inside the wheel well where I can access it.
Okay. Jeff, were you an engineer by trade?
Oh no, I was a 18th century restoration carpenter by trade,
Okay.
and a offset printer, 6-color with coder, commercial sheet fed printer.
Yeah. You're
Press.
doing lots of engineering in this car.
Yeah, I tend to overthink things a lot and tend to be OCD on it. So I thought that was because I seen an article of another Healey owner where they used a copper brake line, and made a U to make it more accessible. But I found that this really is going to work out well. I used one of the black harness clips, and there was a weld nut on the backside top of the passenger side footwell, and with the correct thread, it just seemed to like a perfect place to mount it. Let me see here. Okay, I'm getting through a lot of these.
Why don't we give Andy Mott a chance? Because we've had a chance to handle a number of your questions. Well, let's let Andy come in with some of his questions. Andy's doing a complete restoration of a BJ7, and his is not as good condition as yours is, Jeff. So let's give Andy a chance to address some of his questions. Okay.
Love to. I had one more quick question. I picked up. I'll make it quick. I picked up a spare motor, transmission, rear end from a later Abingdon BN4. I wanted to, and which has the different head and different carburetors. Will that bolt straight onto the block of my early Long Bridge?
Yeah, my 100
Yes.
Ford did exactly that. Yep.
Yeah. Yes.
Andy, you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Go ahead.
Thank you
wanna
very much.
So
Give kind of an overview
I
of your
had to
car,
pull
what your questions have?
yeah, I had to pull them up while you said my questions. So anyway, I'm planning on doing this like rotisserie level. I have to get this down to the absolute base component of its steel structure, and there's outriggers that need to be welded on. Someone did prior work putting sills and rockers in this car, and they were just scabbed onto already bad metal. And I think even where the sills I guess the sill is the longer piece. Am I correct? Or is the rocker the longer of the two sections that weld together there? I'm very new to this.
The sill is the long bit.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So where the sills are connected, it was just gooped on with awful welds and on bad metal. So I think I'm going to have to remove those lower sections of the wheel well, either fabricate new pieces and put in a larger section and re-weld this. The motor and transmission are in the car. So some of the stuff I've been reading has been talking about a deflection that occurs with the chassis. When you pull the motor out, I've never done this, but I guess it goes to a flat rested position where when the motor and transmission are in it, it kind of deflects downward. And one of the big concerns I'm having is if I undo these welds, is my car going to sag even further with the motor and transmission in it? And if I am to do all this fabrication, eventually take the motor out, and I do have to put new A and B pillars in for the doors, I was wondering if anybody knew how much distance you lose at the top of the A and B pillar, up, across, like a linear distance across, when you take the motor out, because I've read stories about people putting doors on these cars later in the build. And they run into problems with the initial welding they did in the beginning. So there I am.
Okay, can you put a jig piece across the top of the door opening before you start cutting any material away? And
Yeah.
like bolted in place there and hold everything in
believe I could.
position. Yeah, that'll hold your door
And you think-
gap and maintain everything. I know on my car, I fabricated a complete new frame right from scratch.
Wow.
And I had the old, what was left of the old one beside it to measure from. And now granted, I stepped up the material thickness and added an extra inner wall inside the box frame. And when I dropped the engine in, the deflection was it closed the gap by about 10 thou, so I didn't worry about it.
Oh my Lord. I thought this was going to be like a 3/8 of an inch worry I was going to have, between the motor and transmission and being in and out. So I guess it's a moot question.
Yeah, well, but I think if you put a support piece across the door opening on both sides before you start cutting things away and taking the engine out, it should hold those positions for you.
Okay. The other thing that this is kind of got to lead into is it has all the systems are in place where this thing should start. And apparently I've been hooking the battery up wrong. I asked my dad about it. I said, "Hey, I'm not getting any spark." He's like, "Oh, well, that's a positive ground car."
Right.
And I've spent several days out there trying to get this thing started. I checked the resistance on the coil. I put new points and condenser. I gapped the points per the book, and I'm still not getting any spark. So if I go out there again and I hook this thing positive to the ground and negative, it should start, right?
Actually,
it is a
if you put the battery in backwards on a card that everything works on, it'll still start quite normally.
Oh,
Whether you set it up negative or
alright.
positive ground, it'll still start.
Oh,
It won't run
okay,
perfectly
alright.
because the coil is operating backwards, but it doesn't affect it tremendously.
Yeah, I thought
Alright.
that. Yeah.
What about the condenser, Mike? Isn't it the backwards polarity then?
No, condenser
No.
doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it'll
Well,
if you
Mike-
can put the battery backwards in a Healy, and as long as you don't short out the generator, you really should repolarize the generator, but you can put the battery in backwards and it'll probably start and run.
Okay, right. Good to know. So I guess my problem is no spark.
Yeah. Read a
That's
book.
something I should start getting used to.
Read a book.
But yeah, so all Healey's were originally positive ground, Andy.
Are you sure you've got a ground strap from the engine to the chassis? A lot of people forget to put those in when they put a new engine in a car. You need to have a path for the ground to go from the
Yep.
engine.
Does it crank? Does it crank over?
Yeah, it cranks over.
If it cranks over, the ground strap's okay.
And I used one of those like intravenous gas bottles that had, gasoline holders that is suspended above the car, and it's dripping down into the patient. and it's still
Is there
I
any
don't-
fuel in the float chambers?
that I haven't dug into, but the plugs were
Okay.
wet with
Do you have
gas.
do you have a can of quick start ether?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, crank it. As you crank it, spray ether into each of the carburetors and see if it fires.
Okay.
If it doesn't
All right.
fire, your problem is ignition. If it does fire, your problem is fuel. It's that simple.
Yep,
Thank
easy
you.
peasy.
That pretty much covers the two major questions that are facing me right now. And that's kind of it. And I've been on AH Spares looking at the pieces they have, and I am astounded at what's manufactured out there for these cars. So I'm going to buy outriggers, I
Oh,
think.
yeah.
And that's basically the most of what's wrong with it is from the outriggers out. The main two rails in the middle and everything else is covered in oil, so it's well preserved.
One little trick. Remember this.
Yep.
Do you have to replace the floors?
Yes.
Do not weld the floors in without the frame being supported, because when you put those welds on the top of the frame will shrink slightly, and that'll close up your door gaps like hell. So don't even tack the floors in without having the door gaps supported.
So where should my support points be that not on the wheels, right? The thing-
Between the top and the bottom of the A pillar, the top of the A and B pillars.
So put like 4 jack stands under the car, right under the
No,
A and
no.
Bs.
You need a strut across the top of the door gap. Just put a strut in there to stop it closing up on you.
Understood.
Square
Very
tube,
good. Thank you.
1-inch square tubing with a couple of little plates welded on the end, the right length.
Yep,
Absolutely
work.
perfect.
yep, that'll
Just
work.
bolted in place.
If you're really smart, you put a turnbuckle in the middle of them.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I'm loving it.
So what I did on my outrigger supports is mine were, for the most part, I had maybe a third of one.
Okay.
So I fabricated my own. I went onto the AH Spare website and I took a screenshot of the part, and then I measured the portion that I had and scaled it up from the picture so I could get the proper dimensions, width and depth, and I made them a little extra longer and I trimmed them as I put it together.
Well,
Great idea.
You know, poor man's way to build a frame.
I guess now that you mentioned this, the AH Spares and the outriggers they sell, I did notice on one of mine that I have to replace that the attachment point for the leaf spring is on one of the faces of it.
Yep.
Do they sell something that has that already mounted in position, or do I just have to mark it up, cut it off, and then weld it onto the new part?
I think they come with the spring mount on them.
Oh,
I would think they would, yeah.
No one.
That's pretty critical, Andy.
I didn't want that.
and I get one thing that is thinking in my mind right now with all these purchases I'm going to make. Have you guys, as a collective, found that the parts out there are of thinner materials than you would like, or lesser quality steel than you would like? And I hear a lot of "I made it," so I wonder.
My experience, the stuff that's available these days is pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's Kilmartin in Australia that makes a lot of components too. If
My
you
dad
want to
did
go
mention that name.
Yeah, if you want to go that far away, and they do racing stuff.
Okay, that's fantastic. Can
Do
I
you-
ask one more now that it's coming to my head here?
Sure.
My car it's like a 22,000 number car, and it's like I don't know where in the BJ7 era it happened, but I was reading the differences between that and the BJ8, and my question is this: I heard that the ride height is different in a BJ8, and the horsepower is different in a BJ8, and from what I read, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that the differences they did to make that horsepower was a cam and carburetors from 135 to 150. Is this correct?
bit more complicated than that, but yes,
Yeah.
the cam and the carburetors and the distributor produce the extra 100, the extra, 20 odd horsepower. But that actually was quite interesting because the frame on the early BJ8s was the same as your BJ7. It's only when
Right,
they went to the second series of BJ8 that they modified the frame, and then the ride height changed. Was that confusing enough?
Yeah, so it
No,
raised it
that's
2 inches, exactly what Michael said. The BJ8 phase 2s, phase 1s have the exact same chassis and frames that your BJ7 does and all of the Roadsters do. It's only
okay.
on phase 2. 65, 6, and 7. It
Okay.
raised it 2 inches.
And given that I have a BJ7, is it blasphemy for me to make this a 150 horsepower car? Is it just a something people don't do, or is it a bad thing to do? I kind of want to.
Depends
I
how
did
much
it. I did it on my BJ7, but I'm not trying to be concourse. I put HD8s on, and I had my I put a new cam in since I rebuilt the engine, and I just use a BJ8 cam.
And
So,
so I could do this, and it would all look exactly the same. And I mean, I would never
well,
want to.
Well,
the
no,
carbs
no,
are
the
bigger.
carburetors are bigger.
Okay.
I think it's the intake manifold is a 1 3/4 inch for a BJ7, and a BJ8 is a 2-inch manifold. So you either need to get a BJ8 manifold or get, like, AH Spares sells a performance manifold that I have in my
Okay.
car that's 2-inch.
Okay, good to know. I mean, I want to keep the car as originally looking as possible, but the things I want to do are internal creation of power without putting add-ons or making it look too far from its original state is my goal.
That's something that most people with Austin-Heelys struggle with forever. Am I going to keep it original or am I going to make it go faster? My opinion is, if you want it to go faster, buy a Ferrari.
I've
That's
I've got a
blasphemy
It ain't
there.
going that much faster.
I've got a race rally cam in mine. It actually came with it, and it goes like a scalded cat.
Nice,
You know?
nice.
And you can get that cam from Moss. The other thing, do you have a shop drawing of the frame?
I
Because
have
it should,
some manuals.
yeah, it should be one in the back of the manual if you've got a shop manual, because that's really handy on overall critical dimensions.
No, it's actually like dimensioned drawing.
Yes, not
I'll
not
have to
in
take a look.
not in tight detail, but critical, like the distance out from the distance between the main tubular frame and out to the length of the outriggers and things like that, and where the spring mounts are located.
Okay, got it. Very good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
because I have the big shop manual, and I think it's in the section called under bodywork, and it's like a fold out drawing.
Outstanding. I'll have to look for it. I was
You-
given a few of these manuals by my dad, and I think some of that stuff might be in it.
Yeah, I think you could probably Google it, and you may be able to come up with it, because I think I found it online too.
All right. Thank you very much.
Andy, did one of the other things your dad give you? There's a book called The Original Austin-Healey. It's a hardcover book. I highly recommend getting that. It gives you a lot of great reference points. It's not a shop manual like what John's describing, but it describes each of the models in very specific detail with great color pictures.
Oh,
A
that's
better
great to
book
know.
than
Yeah.
that would be the restoration guides that who's his name?
Oh yeah, for the Concord guide.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the Concours guide,
Roger
or
Moment.
yeah,
Mike,
yeah.
who's the guy that
Moment.
published the
Roger
book?
Moment.
Roger Moment. Yes, thank you. Roger Moment has a book out that's has better detail than the Klossinger book has.
Is this
Probably
Writing that
more
down.
specific pictures as
There it
well.
is. Yeah, Rogers. So Andy, look at Roger Hamel. If you're on gallery, he's got a picture of the book. I've got a copy of it as well.
Is this showing up on your
We
screen?
can see
hands
Oh, I
are.
see it. Yeah. Okay. So that's the cover.
Yep.
It's not
All
showing
right.
up in my miniature view, but is it showing up for you guys?
Yeah.
Well,
Okay,
no.
Can you see the last one?
Well, we can see Rogers, John. We can't see yours.
okay.
Rogers, we can see
Yeah, I
Rogers.
see Roger holding the book. That's fantastic. And you said the author's name is Roger Mulman?
Moment,
Yeah, Roger Moment.
like a
Okay.
moment in
Thank you.
time.
That's, I think it was $100.
Okay.
Yeah, that was probably published, what, 2 years ago, I would guess?
Yeah,
I'm not sure if it's still in publication or not.
there were a few copies left,
Were
but
there?
not
Okay.
many. Not
And
many.
what is the title of that book?
Pardon me?
The title of Roger Moment's book is?
Tips on maintenance, repair, and restoration of
Thank
the
you.
Austin-Healey 100, 106, and 3000.
Thank you.
Yeah, Dave
Yeah.
Walsh is showing it on as well. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, the one I have is the original Austin-Healey Restorer's Guide to the 100, 106, and 3000, and it's by Andrews
Yeah, Clossinger.
Clossinger.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah, Andy, it's probably worth getting both.
Good to know.
Yep.
I'm heading into a world of things I really, I'm a babe in the woods here learning. So it's I appreciate every piece you guys are offering.
I think you should also buy one of the Concours books because it has everything in there described as it should be originally in great detail.
Called the Concours Guidelines.
I don't know.
And Michael's a Concourse judge.
Really?
Ooh.
So be nice to me.
Michael wrote the
And
book.
Roger's showing an example of that as well.
Oh, okay. I see it. Fantastic.
Yeah,
And then you have to buy the judges.
that's a lot more than $100.
And we're very expensive.
So,
That's kind of, I don't want to use up any more of the floor here. So if it, I don't want to, I could go all day with stuff, but if anyone else feels, they got things they want to talk about, please do.
Yeah. So Ted Cryer's got a question regarding his overdrive. Yeah. So Andy, thank you very much. We love your enthusiasm. We look forward to supporting you and helping you in this restoration of the BJ7. And so it's something that by chance on Saturday, are you going to the Glidden's event over in Lakeville, Andy?
I'm borrowing my dad's BJ8, and yes, I'm gonna go. Could you hear me?
I'll bring those books with me that we just discussed.
Outstanding.
Did you hear me, Andy?
Yeah, I can hear you. Good. That is fantastic. I mean, I'll
Yeah,
look at
I'll
them.
bring those books with me.
Take a picture, but I can't just take them from you.
No, I'm going to let you look at them in person.
Oh,
Set 'em
okay,
on
all
the
right.
screen.
I thought you were gonna say, "Here, I'll give you." I was like, "Whoa, I can't." Yeah, that'd be great. I would love to see like what's actually in them, and see if there's one that I would prefer more than the other. That would be fantastic, Pete.
Well, as it was pointed out, it's probably worth having both. And also, as Rich Masternati mentioned, the Concourse Guide is also very valuable as well.
Thank you very much.
So, okay. So Ted, you're still having struggles with your 100 and your overdrive?
Yeah, I am. It goes in overdrive. Okay. My problem is it went through a thorough rebuild last fall, and as I've been driving, it goes into overdrive very nicely. The problem is most of the time, just about all the time, when I turn the overdrive switch off, it doesn't disengage or drop out, and it stays in overdrive. I've bypassed the throttle switch, which a few people have recommended, and I still have the same issue. What I have noticed, though, is that once I park the car and turn the car off, and then I go to start it up and drive it again, it's now overdrive is not engaged anymore. And this has happened about 3 times. So I don't know if that's an indication of some sort of residual pressure staying in the overdrive, or maybe it's the main relay, which is what somebody suggested.
The
And I'm open to any
probably
thoughts on.
most likely cause,
Uh-huh.
and I've just rebuilt 2 overdrives today, so I'm real hot on this one. There's a thing called the operating valve in an overdrive. And there's a 7/16 hexagonal plug on the upper surface on the right side of the overdrive unit.
Yeah, right on the top. Okay.
That's right. Using a 6-point 7/16 socket, you take that off, and you will be able to pull out a ball and a spring and a little sort of a flat-headed, looks like a nail.
Yeah.
And then below that, there's like a tube. It's about 2.5, 3 inches long, and it's hollow. And to get it
Okay.
out, you get a piece of mechanics wire and you put a little bit of a bend in it, push the mechanics wire down inside the hole and gently pull up, and that tube will come up.
Okay.
The very bottom of the hole that's inside that tube, there is a very small bleed hole, tiny bleed hole.
Okay.
And that is where the pressure dissipates when you turn the overdrive off.
Okay.
And the pressure dissipates through that tiny hole, and
Okay.
they're very prone to blockage. So that's certainly where I would start.
I like that. Thank you. I understand. I've seen through that, and I understand what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. I'll let you know the results next meeting. Thank you. Okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
Thanks, Ted.
Since we're talking overdrive, can I ask a very, very basic overdrive question?
Sure.
You have to have power on, you have to be stepping
yeah.
on the gas when you turn it off, is that correct?
You can operate the overdrive unit just like a gear. You can push the clutch in, turn the overdrive on, let the clutch out, and you should then be in overdrive. And you can do the same coming out of overdrive. You turn the switch off, and then I depress the clutch, give the engine a rev so that the switch switches out, and let the clutch out. Now, people say I'm nuts and they should just use the overdrive the way it was designed, but they wear out, they can be damaged. And we're not in a race condition. Just when you use the clutch to engage and disengage the overdrive, it's a lot easier on the unit. That's how I do it.
Well, thanks. That's very good to know, because I just flick the switch and that's it. And, and turning it off, I turn it off, but I depress the pedal, the gas pedal, not the clutch pedal.
Yeah, you can
So
do
I'll
that.
change my practice.
It's harder on the unit. That's all it is to it.
Okay, good to know. Thank you, Michael.
She said that about 2 years ago. I'll do the same thing. Use the clutch. Ever since you mentioned that about 2 years ago, I use the clutch on my 100 too.
Yeah.
Overdrive.
Much easier on the unit.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Are there other questions this
After you do the
evening?
switch, then you push the clutch in?
Yes.
You flip the switch and then you push the clutch in?
No.
If you're changing into overdrive, you use the switch just like you use a gear lever.
Yeah, I'm coming out.
Close off the throttle, push the clutch down, switch the switch, let the clutch out, and you're in overdrive. Shifting down, you off the throttle, clutch in, rev, switch off, or switch off and then rev, and then let the clutch out. Just as if you were changing gear.
Mine takes about 3 seconds to engage and disengage, and it is a very subtle change. It's just like a quiet surge.
No, it shouldn't be like that.
Huh. But it works fine. And if I forget about it, like I come into traffic and I forget about it, and then I pull up, back into third gear, you'll feel it quietly engage again.
Yeah. Again, that's as I was saying, it's harder on the unit, but it's not going to destroy it in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, by the way, my gearbox is working perfect since you helped me through the rebuild.
Oh,
Doesn't pop out of fourth gear at all. I probably put about 3,000 miles on it.
Good.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, the warranty was on for 3,000 miles anyways, John, so you're out of warranty now.
The warranty's up at the end of the driveway. You don't
Well,
lose.
I thought it was a tail light warranty. Once I go out of sight, it's gone.
That's right. You got that right. Other questions tonight?
I have a question.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi. So I rebuilt the transmission, I don't know, probably 5 years ago in this forever project that I'm finally driving the car. And I had somebody that I thought knew what he knew what he was doing, helping me do it. But anyway, he said that, you know, the synchro rings were bad in second and third gear. So I ordered 2 new synchro rings from AH Spares, and we put those in. And third seems to work pretty well, but second gear, the synchro really doesn't work unless it's, you know, really the car's really going slow. Then it'll go into second gear. But I can't just shift from third to second. It'll grind the gears.
What model is this? What model?
It's a BJ7. It has the brass synchro ring is what I used on that. And anyways, I was reading online, people say that you need to check and see how good the fit is with the cone that it mates with. And I'm not sure that we did that back 5 years ago. But then somebody else said, well, maybe you should lap them together. Anyways, do you have any ideas of what it might be that's causing this problem with the new synchro ring in second? It shifts fine, just downshifting from third, I get grinding, and I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
If I double clutch, it's a bit better, but
synchro is a fairly complicated device, and one of the major factors in a synchro mesh of the type that we use, bulk ring sync mesh, is the springs and balls that act as a detent in the center position. So as you're pushing the gear lever towards the gear, the outer ring is trying to override the springs and balls.
I see.
And the idea is that overriding process pushes the hub against that synchro cone that you're talking about. Now, there are a lot of factors that can cause problems. Extra end float, broken springs, all sorts of little things like that. But one of the major things is what you were talking about, is pushing them together and seeing how much resistance there is to movement. That's the first thing to check, but it's a lot to it, really. It's not and you certainly can't do anything about it until you take the gearbox out and take it apart. Sorry.
Right. It's my next winter project.
Yeah.
Yeah, my BJ8 is similar. Shifting up is fine, second to third, and this is after a rebuild, but you've got to be going, I wouldn't say slower, and then it'll slip into second on the way down without any grinding. But then my 2010 Ford Ranger is the same. So, and it's only got 60,000 kilometers, so I figure that's normal.
Yeah.
Well, the good news, Bruce, is you don't have a console you have to worry about removing out of BJ7. So
that's right.
You just saved yourself about half a day's work.
That's right.
Yeah, I just built a couple of BN1 gearboxes, and if you think the BJ8 box is difficult, the BN1 is a whole new level. It's really hard to get the synchros to work properly in those.
Huh. Wow. Well, I was curious. I noticed that for the BJ8, they use a steel block ring as opposed to a brass. Do you know why? Is that something that they changed the internal mechanism or something?
It was that was something derived for competition, because the rally guys used to just thrash them through the gears. You'll notice on the cone, not the, there's a cup and a cone. The cup is actually the piece, the little loose piece, and the cone is the part on the gear. If you look very carefully at a BJ8 gear, which has the cone on it, you'll notice that there is a coating on the gear, on the cone. And this coating can come right off. It just will peel right off, and then the synchro doesn't work at all. But they used different angles for those things, and they were a lot tougher. But that's what. And they're not interchangeable.
Okay.
That help at all?
Yes, thank you.
Great. Other questions this evening?
I've
I got one,
Chris?
Pete.
Yeah,
Chris, go ahead, Chris.
yeah, I've got something on my car that's original that I'm thinking that it's a very small item, very trivial, that probably no one else has, which is I still have the little transparent sticker on the speedometer that tells you how to reset the trip meter. I was wondering if anybody still has that on theirs, if there was anybody else has one that's survived.
I've seen quite a few of those.
Have you?
Yeah.
And that's Steve Byers, who's the registrar for the BJ8s, Chris.
I'm sorry?
That is Steve Byers,
Oh,
who is the registrar for the BJ8s.
right. Okay. Yeah.
He's got over 50% of the BJ8s ever produced in his database.
Wow.
56.
Well, I was over 50%.
To be exact. I was wondering if I should peel this thing off or leave it, you know?
Definitely,
original.
definitely
original.
leave it. Definitely
leave it. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe there are actually reproductions around somewhere. I think I've seen them.
Oh,
They're
no kidding.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I got thinking, I said, boy, who else would have this still on there? I just never thought to peel it off, you know?
Well, if you peel it off, you might forget how to reset it.
Oh, God. Yeah. Then I'd have to wait for the next Zoom call to ask. Yeah.
That's right.
I got a question, Pete.
Go ahead, Steve.
Has anybody put a new choke cable on a BJ8 lately?
Yeah.
That is
I guess John has.
I've been working on that for more than a week and I haven't got it in yet. The main problem is the new one that I got from Moss, the threads on the knob are a 1/4 inch shorter than the original. And there's a counterbore on the back of the dash where the knob goes through. And that counterbore is the same size as the nut that's supposed to attach this knob. So the nut will just go into the counterbore and there's no tool you can use to tighten it.
Well, I found that the counterbore on the back of mine and my buddy's mine was very close to the size of the nut. So I took a socket and I put it in my lathe and I machined it down so it would fit.
Mm. Yeah, I wish I had a lathe.
Yeah, it's no fun.
If the threads were not so short, it wouldn't be a problem because the original, I don't know if I made this or it was there before. I don't remember making it, but it was a plastic spacer that goes into the counterbore. And with the longer threads, it provides something for the nut and the washer to press against. So with these short threads, I tried a coupling nut on it. And it's such a frustrating job because you got a problem. You can't see it because it's back up in there and you can't get your head up there. So the coupling nut screws easily onto the threads when the thing is out of the car. But when I put it in there, the nut won't turn and I can't see what's stopping it.
Mm.
So I've been working for a week and I haven't made any progress at all on this. So.
Steve, you're a capable guy. Make a tube nut. Make a nut which is threaded internally, but is maybe 1/2 inch deep, with a hex just on the outer end of it. So
that's what I call a coupling nut. Yeah, I've got
a coupling nut. Yeah, but machine off the outside so it fits into the hole. That's how I
It
do
fits
them.
in the, it fits in the hole, no problem.
Yeah.
But when it goes in the hole and it touches the threads, I can't turn it.
Oh,
There's something stopping it. When I take it out and I can screw that nut on, no problem.
here's another little trick you may not know, Steve. I don't know if the reproductions have it, but the originals, the internal hole in the escutcheon was that took an Allen key. It was hexagonal in there, and you could put an Allen key in to tighten it up. How about that?
Yeah, where's the hole?
When you pull the choke cable right out, put an
Yep.
Allen key in, and that will turn the whole body. But I don't know if the repros are like that.
Well, the repros are different in a couple of ways. One is the shorter threads, and the other one is the ferrule on the end of the the cable is longer.
Doesn't make it easy.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet, but I was hoping somebody might have a hint or something. It's just not working.
Well, you could take the that portion of the dashboard out and whittle the hole, like chisel it back so it's open more on the backside.
Well, I've had the dash off about 30 years ago to refinish it. So I put all the stuff together, but now I don't want to take the dash out of it.
Right.
And everything else is in the way.
Yep.
So I tried to feed the cable up to go through the firewall. And it's got the heater hoses in the way. It's got the, I guess, the vent hose in the way. And the only thing I can think of right now is to drop the heater box. So I've got the screws out on one side. I haven't done the other side yet because I don't know how far down the thing can come with those hoses attached. It seems like there's a problem no matter which way I go with this.
Do you still have the original cable?
I do, yeah.
Can you just replace the inner guts of the cable?
No, because the wire it's got that ferrule on the end of the wire that's longer than the other one. I can't take the inner cable out. That's what broke. I tried to start the car and I pulled the choke and the cable broke. And I thought of that. Why can't I just change the wire?
Right.
I'll take the new wire and put it in the old cable housing. But it won't work because that ferrule on the knob itself is too long.
So you stumped the experts here, Steve.
Well, somebody else out there may have one to match the original. I don't know. I got this one from Moss. And I haven't tried any of the UK sources or anybody else really.
Did you find any used ones online?
Used?
Like an old used one that you could salvage the cable from?
I hadn't thought about that. As long as it was broken, I thought I would put a new one in it, but I didn't know I was going to run into all these problems.
Right.
Steve, I'm not quite clear what you're saying. You say the ferrule is longer. What do you mean by that?
Well, if you can pull the knob out of the housing, right?
Correct.
Okay, now the inner wire is secured to the knob.
To the shaft of the knob, yep.
Yeah, okay, there is a metal, I call it a ferrule. It goes around the wire and it's secured to the knob. It doesn't come off. That piece is longer in the new assembly than the old one was. So the wire, I can't just switch the wires. It won't fit. It won't go all the way into the knob housing. It won't go all the way in because that thing is too long.
Yeah, I know they are a real challenge, that's for sure. I presume getting a little bit further down the line, I presume you've taken the bifurcator off the firewall.
Yes.
Yeah, that does make things a bit easier when you take that off. But
I haven't got that far yet because I can't feed the housing up through all that mess that's behind the dash. There's not room in there to get my hand in to fish it through, and I can't I don't see a way to attach a guide wire or string or whatever to the inner cable and pull it out of that hole. That was my thought on how to do it. But I couldn't see a way I could attach anything to the inner cable that wouldn't come off.
Yeah.
And would still go through the hole.
Yeah.
That
I guess I could glue, JB weld a string or something to it. But I haven't done that.
Is that solid wire, is it silver soldered into the choke knob assembly?
Don't know. I can't see how it's attached in there. It's just, it won't come out.
No, it's crimped in, and you can't silver solder a cable, a bicycle cable. The temperature gets too high, and it ruins the steel. It's spring steel. You can lead solder, but you can't silver solder.
Oh.
Okay. So could you drill that out and like just regular solder it in there?
I'm not sure
It's actually very hard to drill the cable out because the cable is spring steel, and the thing that it's crimped into is sort of die cast or zinc. So you can't even get it, you can't drill it because the drill runs off all the time. It's a very, very difficult problem. I know exactly what Steve's going through.
Yeah. So the cable's actually like piano wire.
It is exactly. It's stranded piano wire.
I think mine is solid, but anyway.
Yeah, that's a repro.
Yeah, maybe check eBay, Steve, for a good used one.
I give that a shot. I can't think of anything else. Other than, the way I was going is just go ahead and drop the heater box so I can get the cable up. But I still got the problem of how come this coupling nut won't screw on the threads when I put the knob in the dash.
Steve, I'm a bit vague on this. Doesn't the cable on a BJ8 go, the outer cable, don't you push that in from the front side of the dash?
No.
There's a nut on the dash side, is there?
It has to go into the dash where the knob is. The knob has to go into the dash, and then the cable has to go through the hole in the firewall.
Oh, no, I realize that. No, I'm talking about the dash attachment. Doesn't the outer cable go through the hole in the dash, and then the nut goes on from the back side?
Yes, that's true.
right.
But the nut that comes with the cable and the old nut too was the same size as the counterbore hole. So what I had before, the threads were long enough that I could put a washer to fit against the backside of the dash, and then the nut on.
Okay, so what I was suggesting to you, so what I was suggesting to you, Steve, is if you get a piece of, say, pipe, okay, with an internal thread that will thread onto the outer housing, right, where the nut goes.
Yes.
And then if that piece of pipe has a hexagon a half an inch down the end of it, would you be able to tighten that hex up?
Well, the coupling nut that I'm trying to use is long enough that I can get a wrench on it.
Yeah.
From the backside, but I can't. I was trying to get the thing started on the threads, and I can't do it because when I try to turn it, it's just locked solid. And I can't see what's stopping it. There's nothing in the hole that I can see.
And it does thread onto the
back out of the dash, and I can screw it on the threads with no problem. It just goes right on.
Don't know.
So,
what if the nut that you're putting in behind, it's about 3/4 of an inch across the flats?
No.
About
what it is, what I call a coupling nut is a tall nut.
Oh, right. Yes.
It's about 1.5 inches long, and it's threaded internally. Okay. Those threads will match the knob, and it's long enough that it comes out where I could turn it with a wrench.
Right.
But I had to modify a washer to go into the counterbore and go over those threads, so the nut would have something to turn against.
Right.
But I can't turn.
I found on mine that the clearance hole in the metal part of the bracket, there's a bracket on the back of there, doesn't line up with the counterbore in the back of the dash. Big surprise. And it tends to overlap a little bit. So that might be interfering with what you're trying to do.
Correct.
The hole on the
Like
cockpit,
there's a metal bracket.
side of the dash is smaller than the counterbore. Is that what you're saying? Or it's not
Well,
in line?
Well, there's a metal bracket that attaches to the back of the dashboard, and that in turn attaches to whatever, like the console, the center console.
Yeah, I know what
And
you
there's a clearance hole. You can't see it unless you get up there with a mirror. It's made out of like 16th sheet metal, and there's a clearance hole that's meant to line up with the counterbore in the back of the wooden dashboard, but it doesn't. It overlaps the counterbore a little bit, and it interferes. I've come across that.
That bracket doesn't interfere on mine.
Okay. Well, I was just wondering, can you take the nut that's on the back that comes with the choke cable, and I'm just wondering if it's 3/4. I can't remember. It might be 11/16 across the flats. Can you file it? Is there enough material to file it down to 5/8 across the flats and then use a 5/8 socket?
Maybe, but if I can't turn this coupling nut with my fingers, and it's not like it's tight or anything, it just doesn't move at all. It's just there's some kind of solid obstruction, but I can't tell what that is.
Yeah.
If I take it out, there's nothing there. The nut screws on.
I think
If I could get that problem fixed, then I can screw this coupling nut on and use a wrench to tighten it.
Right.
I think John might be onto something there, where he says that the metal center panel overlaps part of that hole, and I've seen exactly what John's saying. Have you checked that? Hard to see.
The bracket where the wood attaches to the console,
Yeah.
that does not interfere with the hull.
Okay.
Well, that's a tough one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can I jump in on this, because I'm actually having this similar problem.
Go ahead, Peter.
It's a replacement dash, which I think is a little thicker than the original. So there is a star washer and a nut that's supposed to lock onto the back of the housing of the choke. But because it's the new dash is thicker, it doesn't make contact with the threads.
Yeah,
And
my dash is the original.
So yeah, and what I'm wondering about it in our situation right now is how do we? I mean, the choke is working, but you have to hold the back of the choke so the whole thing doesn't come out of the dash. If there's first thought I had was maybe stuff it with. Obviously, I'm not going to get a nut in there, but maybe stuff it with some sort of a glue or metal to keep it from coming out. I don't know if anybody else had that problem or understands what I'm saying. I know Bob Abbott, if he's still on, he knows what I'm talking about.
I think Bob's off right now, Peter.
Okay, yeah.
Peter, if your dash is too thick, you might want to just countersink the back of the dash so you could put it in.
Right. The problem with that is there's no room to get any kind of a tool in there.
Oh, because it's already installed.
It's already installed.
Okay.
Yeah. But that would have been a nice idea. Yeah.
Sorry, Steve, we haven't had a better answer for you.
Well, I'll think of a question you can answer next time.
Thanks, Steve.
Well, thank everybody for their input.
You're welcome. Any other questions tonight?
I have a simple question.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Okay, I'm getting ready to fill that new tank and get some fuel to my carburetors. Now, I mean, I obviously want to run the car like weekly. I had a question about fuel conditioner because of the ethanol. Whether some people have said that seafoam is really great. I use fuel conditioner on my tractors, riding lawnmowers, chainsaws, all the other stuff, but not in my driver. Um, my car was my motor was rebuilt in 1987 with a 30,000 overbore. The original car when I got it had 10,000 overbore, and it had issues with the cylinder, so I had it bored to 30 overbore with Jan's high compression pistons, and they also put a street grind on the cam. The question is, what fuel should I be running in it? Obviously, without a body or brakes quite yet. I'm not going to be driving it a lot. I've heard different opinions about going to Vermont to get non-ethanol gasoline. I've heard opinions about spending the money for Cam 2. What I was running was just a high test, the highest octane I could get commercially with a regular the blue fuel conditioner. What are
I think
people's
Michael will
thoughts?
tell you you don't need to run anything special, right, Michael?
That's correct. What's the compression ratio of your engine?
10-1, I believe.
10 to 1's getting up there. 10 to 1, you probably have to use a higher octane. You're getting out of the safe range for regular gas, but I would think premium fuel would be adequate for 10 to 1.
That's the answer I want to hear.
Yeah, but I with my cars, you talk about seafoam and all this sort of stuff. I drive my cars into a storage container, and around the beginning of November, usually leave at least a half a tank of gas in it, and then I lock the door. Then I come out. I come this spring, which we're talking like the end of April, beginning of May, and I unlock the door, and I put the key in the ignition, start the car, and drive it away.
Yeah, my tool and die guy who
No, don't listen to your tool and die guy. Don't, Jeff, don't listen to your tool and die guy. Listen to Michael.
That's right.
It doesn't need anything. It works perfectly. The fuel lasts at least 6 months with no problems.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Michael is our E.F. Hutton.
I'm in a cold climate too, but the only difference is I top my tank up to the top and I add stable.
Yeah. That stops moisture getting into it.
Yeah, and I'll fire it up around Christmas time once.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I don't bother. I think the problem with firing it up during cold weather is that you tend to fill the exhaust system up with moisture, which rusts the exhaust system. But, you know, it's your own choice.
Yeah, but as for stainless, it shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a problem. No. Okay, I got one.
Good, Michael.
One?
Yeah.
Ken, you'll remember I was asking a little while ago about a grabbing clutch in a 100. And this was vicious. This thing, you'd let the clutch out, let it out gently, and then wham, you were moving. And you suggested the bushes in the bell housing.
Yes, I did.
I pulled it out, pulled the gearbox apart, and the bushes were fine. But I discovered something that I've been in this business a hell of a long time that I had never, ever realized before. The clutch disc, if you look at a clutch disc, there's a gap between the two linings. And on some discs, it's quite thick. It's a 1/16 of an inch. But when I pulled out, there was no gap or a very little gap, and you couldn't squeeze the two linings together. It was absolutely flat with nothing between it. So I did a bit more research on it, and it turns out that in that gap there are flat springs. These are like wafers that come up from the center, and they are bent. They have a bend in them, and they give compressibility to the clutch disc. However, if you really overheat the clutch disc, they lose their temper and they go flat. And it's that crushability of the disc that gives you a smooth clutch. So if you've got a grabbing clutch, measure, feel if you can squeeze the disc.
So you're saying they're like wavy washers in there?
Yeah, not a wavy washer. It's just a piece of spring steel that's curved.
Okay.
And it compresses when your clutch starts to take up. But I've been in the business a long time. It's the first time I've ever struck this problem. But this clutch was vicious, absolutely vicious.
So did you replace the clutch?
I just replaced the disc. And it works perfectly.
Yeah, just the disc. No,
Smooth
not the
as steel.
plate.
Yeah. So there you go. Something I learned about clutches.
That's great. Okay. Anything else before we close?
Peter,
I have a question, Pete.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
I've got a BJ8 that has not been run in about 4 years. And I feel the need to pre-pressurize the oil system before I change the oil and do it and get it started. And I have seen a couple of different options for where you could apply pressure from. One is the line from the oil pressure gauge. I could get a spare one, put it on there, and adapt it to a pressurized oil can. There are a number of ways to do that. The other one I've seen is using the original oil filter mounting mechanism, going through one of those holes in it to apply pressure there at where the oil filter would be if it were still on the car. Does anybody have any other ideas or any opinions about those two?
So had the car been stored inside, John?
Yes.
Okay. So it's in a normal environment.
Yeah, climate control.
Yep. I don't know. Do you think even 4 years is required to pressurize anything with that? Why don't you just change the oil?
Well, I'll certainly do that, but it just strikes me. I wonder if it shouldn't be.
Yeah, you've got a valid point. There is a possibility that the main bearings and the rod bearings have dried out enough that they could be damaged by starting the engine, particularly if the engine oil pressure takes a while to come up. I've dealt with this situation in the past, and what we did is we made a little adapter for where the oil pressure line goes onto the block, put a tube that was about 5 feet long to a funnel in the ceiling, filled the funnel with oil, and left it overnight or for a couple of nights with oil, and that oil will work its way through the bearings perfectly, and put it all back together, and it'll start fine.
So you're attaching down there on the block where the pressure.
Just gravity feed. It's gravity feed, but it's enough to work its way through all the bearings.
But where you put it in the engine is down on the block coming from.
That's right. Where the pressure gauge goes out.
Okay.
That's clever.
Yeah, good idea.
What about up in the rocker arm shaft? Do you dose it with oil? Pull the valve cover off and dose it with oil?
Wouldn't bother. It's got bronze bearings. They'll last forever. They'll run dry for about 10 years.
Okay.
I have a quick question, if I can ask one.
Go ahead.
1962 BT7. I've had fuel in the tank for a long time, and I was thinking about using a cleaning agent. I have something called Gumout. Is that an acceptable thing to put in the tank? They suggest running the tank down near empty, putting it in, and then adding new fuel. Is anyone familiar with?
Do you know if you have a problem?
Well, the car's running a little bit rough. And I'm just wondering if it's just because there's some old fuel in the tank, and that this might help clean the fuel system out.
And have you run a tank of fuel through it?
I have, yes.
I would think that fuel will dissolve anything that Gumout will dissolve.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I mean, Gumout's been around for years, but yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't hurt there's nothing in it that's going to hurt any of the parts in the fuel system.
What model?
It's a BT7.
So it doesn't have diaphragm carburetors?
No.
No, that'll be fine. The diaphragm carburetors are the only ones I'd be worried about.
Okay, thank you.
Kevin Welch, did you have a question earlier? Kevin? No? Okay, sorry, I thought you raised your hand. Okay. Any other questions before we close?
It's me again.
Go ahead, Jeff. This is a quickie, right?
You mentioned water wetter to help the overheating problems. What is it and where do you get it?
You can get it at any auto parts store. It's a pinkish color, and you use that to for cooling purposes. Typically, if your car's not overheating, I wouldn't worry about it. If
Well,
you know,
I wouldn't know. It's been 45 years since I've driven it.
don't worry about it. See how it runs first.
Yeah, it seems to be running fine. I will save all my Trafficator issues and questions for the next Zoom meeting. Thank you, gentlemen, for all your help.
But we want to hear how well the car is running next time.
Yeah, I need to get it.
And how well the brakes work.
Yeah, I need to get that all done before next month.
Okay, sounds good.
There's a very simple way of testing your radiator that an old school mechanic told me about, just to see if there's any blockage in there. But you take your rad out and you put your hand over the bottom outlet and you fill it full of water, and then you take your hand away, and it should just come out like a goosh in a period of like 2 seconds. It's gone. And if it doesn't do that, then you get a problem.
In 4 years ago, 2021, I sent it off the Valley Radiator in Collinsville, Connecticut. I had it fleshed, had it pressure tested, and without any problems. So I don't anticipate any issues other than the normal Healy overheating.
Have you got a triple core, double core? Do you know?
It's the original radiator that came with the early BN4.
Yeah.
Do you have a 6-blade fan on there, Jeff?
No, I've got the original Healy 4-blade, I believe it is.
Okay, you may want to consider a plastic 6-blade. It's an easy fix.
Well, I put an electric fan on mine with a thermostat.
Yeah, I've got one on my 100 that way. But if you don't even know if you're overheating yet, let's not worry about that one till you overheat.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate your input.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you in a month.
Thanks,
Ken.
Peter.
Thanks.
Yes, go ahead, Ken.
Thanks, Peter.
Just so you know what the chemistry is behind that water wetter, it changes the ionization of the water the water molecules, and what it does is it transfers heat much better than water. Although water will transfer heat better than any antifreeze, but that's what water wetter does, is it increases the transfer of the heat from the block.
Okay. Thanks, Ken.
Yep.
Appreciate that. Okay. See you guys. See you in a month.
Thank
Enjoy.
you.
Safe travel, safe driving.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Peter.
Be well, stay
You're
well.
welcome. Thank you.
Happy trails.
Yep. Bye-bye.